Till a few years back, it would have been impossible to think of a smartphone that was engineered almost completely keeping a professional videographer, photographer, or gamer in mind. While the iPhone 15 Pro Max is exactly that and a testament of how user workflows have changed over the years because of the power a smartphone can now pack inside its small chassis. The iPhone 15 Pro Max takes its Pro tag seriously and steps up on the processing to enable these workflows, which a lot of power users even will have no need for. This also means that across the world, professionals are now opening up the possibility of using a smartphone as the primary driver for their work, incorporating all aspects of their creative process in the same device. This does not mean you can't buy this flagship if you are not a professional. That is an intended side effect of the way this product is designed. I have used the iPhone 15 Pro Max for a week now, and here is what I thought of the Apple flagship by answering the top questions I encountered about the phone. Now, the first question, you must be thinking that how good is the titanium body? To me, the titanium body looks pretty solid, but the fact is there is still some glass at the back. Apple could have looked at a full metal body too, though I know that could come in the way of heat dissipation or even wireless charging. But compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, this one does feel much lighter. Apple also shaved a little off the sides, both with its rounded edges and bezels. For those that go caseless, those cut-down edges may be the greatest boom, as I've found it makes the device feel better to grip. Personally, I thought the iPhone 14's bezels were already thin enough, and anything slimmer will likely require more work to avoid accidental actuation. For years, I had hoped Apple would open up the control center, the iPhone menu opened by swiping down from the top right corner, so that third-party applications could have their own buttons. Apple's apps are good, but what if you want instant access to something else? Enter the Action button. The Action button is a good addition, as it makes this slot much more functional than before. Earlier, you could just about silence the ringer. Now you can do at least 9 functions from this button. Yes, Apple flipped off the mute switch in favor of the small, clicky, oval-shaped Action button. Its placement may have confused me at first, as I thought I was clicking the volume up button, but I've adjusted to it over the span of a week. I have customized this to open the camera with a single click. It's also good that even in the camera, the settings let you select exactly what you would like to open. Once the app is open, the button works like a clicker and reminds me of some Sony camera phones of the past. Well, these series processors from Apple have been very powerful for at least 2 to 3 years now, so much so that they have moved ahead of the rest of the market. So it becomes even more difficult for a company like Apple to tell users how a processor has become even better, especially since a lot of the use cases where this extra power can be showcased will not be something regular users will ever encounter. A 17 Pro chip is Apple's brawniest pocketable silicon yet, something I could sense throughout most moments with the phone. Everything just moves smoothly as I switch back and forth from 4K video editing to all sorts to all the various apps I use throughout the day. I also noticed it run regular iPhone games such as Asphalt 9 and Diablo Immortal with ease. Testing out a preview version of Resident Evil Village, the iPhone 15 Pro Max handled the first chapter of Ethan Winter's latest terrifying tale admirably most of the time. Curious how this year's iPhones stack up. While the 17 Pro also beats the A16 Bionic found in this year's iPhone 15 models and last year's iPhone 14 Pro series by about 7%. But the verdict of whether this phone offers console-level gaming has to be left to the gamers. Well, trust Apple to turn an adversity into an opportunity. With the Pro series, Apple is suggesting that the faster transfer speeds of the USB-C can be used to shoot from the smartphone and record to an external drive, or just check the footage on a monitoring screen, as one would do in a studio workflow. On the charging side, I have been using my MacBook charger at the office to juice up the phone towards the end of the day. This is definitely convenient. I just need to figure out what to do with the years of lighting cables as we all move fully to the new iPhones. Apple's long overdue port swap from Lightning to USB-C is a welcome upgrade. There are arguments to be made about how Apple didn't use the fastest version of Type-C, as the 15 Pro's max transfer speeds leaves the 40 gigs per second rates of faster cables and ports for a future model to potentially reach for. Those exporting a ton of 4K video off of their phone or backing up locally will want that rate to be as high as possible, so they're not waiting for a progress bar to complete. But the Galaxy S23 Ultra also maxes out at 10 gigs per second, so I'm not miffed. One reason why a lot of people will opt for the 15 Pro Max over the other iPhone 15 phones this year will be the camera. This one offers a 5x optical zoom, which is not there on other iPhones. This also means that now there are 7 camera modes on the phone. I had always considered the iPhone the best phone camera because of how natural its results are. And with the 15 Pro Max, this just gets better, and you have a 35mm frame that makes your creative juices flow, especially when you decide to go black and white, for instance. The iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max's 3x telephoto sensors took similar shots of downtown Brooklyn from afar, while the Pro Max's 5x optical zoom allowed for tighter framing. That said, the Galaxy S23 Ultra's 10x telephoto lens, which uses a periscope mirror setup, unlike Apple's tetraprism, gets you closer, enough to cut off the top of the ominous black Brooklyn Tower. I'd love for Apple to get that level of zoom someday. But what about more regular, everyday photography? Well, check out these photos from the pier at New York City's West Side Highway, where the iPhone photos look more or less the same across the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. While the 14 Pro Max's colors are a little brighter, not an issue. But the S23 Ultra delivers super saturated blues in the sky and reds on the boat. But for the moment, I don't think this is the best zoom-in camera. That tag will continue to be with the Samsung S23 Ultra, which anyway offers 10x optical zoom. However, the camera app is the best in the business and now offers top-of-the-line editing features that have kept me away from Snapseed, which I have been using to edit photos over the past many years. Also, the ability to change the depth and focus of photos in edit is a great feature to have for most photographers. I am leaving this segment for you because it's more like a matter of preference rather than any number values. After I used my 15 Pro Max throughout what most people would call a normal day, it showed 20% battery left after going from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. On those days, I was taking photos with friends using a mix of cellular and Wi-Fi data, listening to music and podcasts, and not glued to its screen as I normally am. However, when I put the 15 Pro through my uniquely aggressive testing, from being outside nearly all day to bouncing around town day and night, I found that the iPhone 15 Pro Max had much less in the tank once I started yawning. These days where I was taking a ton of photos, using my phone as a speaker at home, downloading content off 5G+, and streaming without Wi-Fi, its battery life was in the single digits by the end of the day. I don't want to say I push my phone harder than anyone, but the good news about the new iPhones is that refueling is faster than ever, if you need it. I saw my 15 Pro Max go from 0% to 44% in 30 minutes, and it was at 85% after another half hour. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is a flagship in every sense, so the issues that we have noticed are in that context. To start with, the phone does warm up a little bit on the sides when you're browsing the net or just playing around with the camera. I have not felt this with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. This could be because the titanium frame transfers more heat outside. I really love the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I can already tell I'm going to be unbearable to anyone who is trying to stave off an upgrade. The new titanium design enables a new feel and lighter weight that makes everything, including taking photos and video, just a little bit easier. The longer distance zoom will probably be the marquee feature I brag about the most, even if I know Galaxy S23 Ultra owners have me beat. I'm already having fun testing out new ways to use the action button, and USB-C is a better late than never upgrade. But no iPhone exists in a vacuum. The iPhone or Android you're currently using will color how you interact with Apple's latest and greatest. For that reason, I'm not pushing anyone with an iPhone 14 Pro to upgrade again this year. But if you got an iPhone 13 or older, you're going to get other features that you've been missing, like the always-on display that works great with standby mode or the dynamic island, which I love for making it super easy to open the music or podcast app I'm currently using. And on that note, it's time for me to get back to the action. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to get more updates like this, do subscribe our channel for latest updates. See you in the next one. Peace out.